Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 4 vs 4 on Pointe du Hoc, and in this one I'm going to be playing with the 91st Luftlande. So both the division and map were chosen as suggestions from my stream, and if you'd like to check out those streams live, they will be every Thursday at 10 PM GMT. So just come to the channel on YouTube, and you should see the channel live. You can come watch live Steel Division. Absolutely great. You can get involved, you can get in the games, and it's a lot of fun. Patrons get also access to the VODs of those streams, as well as priority access to the game. So if you're a patron and you're in the stream, let me know, and I will get you an invite to the game before I open it to the public. But either way, let's have a look at this game. I'm going to be taking the right mid in this one. We have a demo on our team, Paradox Obscurus and Genjeft. We have the 17th SS Panzergrenadier, Panzerlehr and 116th respectively on those players. Then on the opposing side we have Gonzo, Matthew, Haymaker and Schmitty, who are the 1st Panzerner, 3rd Canadian Infantry, 101st Airborne and 1st SSB. So let's change this to my perspective, and we will carry on with this game. So once again playing against Gonzo. Gonzo round 2 almost wrecked me with the 2nd Armoured French Division in the last game, but I managed to recover quite well and push back with the help of my teammates. This time round he's playing the 1st Panzerner, another aggressive division on the Allied side, so we'll have to see where he ends up and see how he does. We've also got Matthew, who did very well in my previous game as well, so another formidable opponent. Then we have Haymaker, of course, who I play with all the time. He's playing on the opposite side in this game. And we have Schmitty, who I also play with relatively often, who's using the 1st SSB. But yeah, on my side I played with that Paradox Obscurus and Genjeft before. Demos joined in for this one. Let's have a look at what I'm putting down. We've got the MG here. That's going to be going to this compound. There's this nice sort of chateau area, which is a pretty decent defensive spot for this side of the map. It provides you with a nice base for an MG that can cover these tree lines. Obviously there is like the 1,200 meter range problem from all the way back up here that could obviously fire down on you, especially with like Cromwells from the 1st Panzer, or like from the SSB Centaurs for example. So there is that problem, but generally the MG will do the job in covering these sort of tree lines, so that's why I'm going to have it there. Then I've got a Pack 37, I believe this is, to head to the left side, the lower HE ones that you get with the 91st Luftlande, accompanied by some ersatz and a command infantry. You'll notice one thing that I do with my 91st Luftlande, and that is not start with any Fallschirmjägers whatsoever at the moment. So just every infantry unit you see will be ersatz, and then I've got them accompanied by some Panzerabwehr there, an AT gun. Then on the right side, another AT gun with the MG and another command infantry. So the deployment took quite a while, so I've just sped it up here. I've also got another artillery unit to join me as well. Now over on my right side, we do have Genjeft taking up that flank with the 116th Panzer. On the left of me, I have Paradox Obscurus with the Panzerlehr, and far side it's going to be Demo with his 17th. So pretty evened out. Looks like everyone took like a relative amount of the map, which is good. But it's underway. Let me slow things down a little bit. And you can see by the timer that we're in for a long one, and a good one for sure. It was an exceptional game, really a lot of fun. So let's see what happens as I continue to move up here. Paradox Obscurus is moving up Puma with my little convoy here. We got the Alpel Blitz, that's going to be dropping off an IG-18. That wasn't an artillery piece, it was an IG, that was confusing me. The new icons on these vehicles confused me just a little bit. This is a Pack 40. Drop that off because of the exceptional range down the road. I would have liked to have had another Pack 40 in here somewhere to get the range down here, but that's not going to be the case. Just dropping off the Pack 40 there, getting the recon ahead of it. Got some Ersatztruppen to just follow up, and I've got some Ersatztruppen spreading out on this side as well, just to cover the front line, give us the sort of conquest ground that we need. Mustang comes in, doesn't quite hit the mark with that bombing strike, does force my Pak 40 to fall back, and does tell me that there is some recon here that can see it. Unless he probably just saw it because of the M1 gun and loaded it before it went into the tree line. So yeah, he's well aware that that's there, even though things looking pretty light for Haymaker on this side. I'm bumping into his infantry here that's sort of been rushed down the road to engage the Ersatztruppen. I've got some Panzerabwehr that can see all that coming. Fallschirmjäger there, accompanied by the Pak 36 is decent. Moving up the IG as well to help pin down some of these airborne rifles. Now, at the start of the game, I was sort of contemplating using the Stür 42, and I probably should have. I mean, looking at this from a neutral perspective, if I had a Stür 42 and I killed this AT gun, that would have just, that entire front would have just collapsed, and I could have broken through. Of course, that AT gun's probably more than powerful to kill the Stür, though. But 1,000 meter range versus 1,200 meter range should have been fine. Anyway, that's not happening today. It's going to be the Ersatz taking on airborne engineers with the support of the IG-18. Got the Fallschirmjäger there to stop them surrendering. And on this side, I'm also pushing up quite a lot with the Ersatz. On the right flank, Gonzo has done a very good job of dispatching some of Genjef's initial forces, and is currently pushing through with double Cromwell on the far right here. Cromwell 6 and the Cromwell 5. Both pushing through very heavily, half tracks pushed all the way up. Panzer 3L is on the way to challenge these Cromwells, so we'll have to see how well Genjef does. But currently being absolutely wrecked by Gonzo and has lost a lot of ground, giving the opponents the +1 early on. So, Ersatztruppen are pinned down, obviously no match for the airborne rifles or the airborne engineers, and I don't want my Pak 36 to get caught amongst all of that, so just going to retreat the Pak 36 early, and then hopefully use my Panzerabwehr alongside the Fallschirmjäger and the Ersatz to maybe take out any infantry that get too close. There is an airborne engineer that I'm going to have to be worried about though, but in the middle, in the meantime, Pak 40 is going to be taking out the M1 gun. Nicely done. Bomber comes in, has a better target. Obviously, that's been firing. So revealed its position. Bomber this time round only going to land one bomb nearby, which is going to reduce its health by 1, and I'm going to be able to fall that back again. Good stuff. IG-18 coming up to accompany the Ersatz in the centre. I've also got 2 Fallschirmjägers now arriving to challenge the airborne rifles, because Fallschirmjägers at the 300 meter range actually are way better than airborne rifles. It's just airborne rifles are generally better than other infantry. So they've got 10 HE at max range. Fallschirmjägers have the 15 HE, I believe it is. Or am I getting my maths wrong? No, 14 HE. Definitely getting my maths wrong. So I'll finally bring up the Stür 42. And I probably should have been looking to push up this road now that the AT gun's gone. But considering all of this infantry is over on this left side here, you can see that I am beginning to move my Stür in that direction to cut it off, because I don't want the infantry to kill off my infantry, of course. Now Pak 37 here, I move it back up to take out an enemy unit here. Jeep actually gets killed off. Mortar, however, comes in and takes it out finally. But the Stür 42 is on the way, and I still have a Panzerabwehr here that can shoot at anything that rushes down the road, so I'm not particularly worried about that. Same here. Even though there's like the AT gun being forced to fall back all the time, this Panzerabwehr will still secure kills should things push really hard. I've also got the Pak 36 here, which is covering this road coming down, and currently we have the continued engagement between the airborne engineers and the IG-18, but enemy mortar fire coming in now. Fallschirmjägers are doing pretty well against the airborne rifles though, since the Ersatz have been sponging a lot of the damage. IG's pinned down there on the right side. Things really not going well for Genjef at this point. Panzer 3 is still having a go at the Cromwells. And I've sent up some infantry to help out as well, just sort of holding the front line. Ersatztruppen just being difficult. and getting in the way. That's the idea there. So Fallschirmjäger's still firing away, engaging Leader Winters here and the airborne rifles, but we are being mortared the entire time by Haymaker. Haymaker's mortar micro was actually pretty on point in this game. He's also bringing in the bomber there to soften some of the Fallschirmjägers. I've got a Fallschirmjäger squad of my own coming over to this left side, and that's going to hopefully deal with some of the airborne rifles that are in my way. But what I'm going to do here is actually move my Panzerabwehr over to the right side, and maybe what I can do is sneak up to this mortar. That's kind of what I was hoping I could do. The IG is still firing away. Mustang bomber comes in, bombs out the MG34, which was frustrating. And I've just brought in a ME-109, since I can see this airborne mortar. But what I've got to do is wait until these Mustangs are out of fuel, and then what I can do is bring in my ME-109, hit the airborne mortar, get out of there before he can bring his Mustangs back in, because currently that's 2 Mustangs at the start. Really quite difficult to deal with actually, and these Fallschirmjäger not lasting very long at all. Ersatztruppen managed to surrender one of the airborne engineers there with the help of the Fallschirmjägers, which is good. IG-18 still doing work, but now with double strafing run from the Mustangs plus the mortar, going to take a lot of damage. The Winters there in a bit of a bad spot. You can see the airborne rifles making a run for it. IG-18 does go down to the strafing run, and the Fallschirmjäger opens up onto the airborne engineers. That was my bad. Probably should have had them on return fire so they didn't reveal themselves. But that's just going to be an engagement that continues on that right side. Fallschirmabwehr finding their feet in this tree line. And I should have unloaded this Fallschirmjäger on the left, but haven't got around to that yet, as I am kind of focusing on advancing into Haymaker with the Fallschirmjägers here instead. So ME-109 comes in, goes for the rocket strike onto the enemy mortar. Unfortunately doesn't hit the mark, but I am able to get out of there before either the Hurricane or the Mustangs come in and shoot me down. Now the Stür 42 and the IG-18 actually ended up killing the mortar here, because the Panzerabwehr revealed it, and it was in the tree line, so that worked out on the left flank. My Pak 40 over here is actually doing a reasonable amount of damage to the airborne rifles, and what I'm going to do is move down the Panzerabwehr to kill them out in the open, because they don't currently have any cover, and if I can start engaging them before they get in cover and they stop, then what will happen is I'll delete this airborne rifle squad. So here they have like light cover instead of the green heavy cover, and I'm going to be continuing that engagement. If he wants to go into heavy cover, then he reveals himself to the Stür 42, which I can then use to maybe kill him off. Now there is the 50 cal engaging my Panzerabwehr, which isn't really ideal. We're still going to be going for this kill. 3-star veteran, so you shouldn't take too long. Now Fallschirmjägers have moved up to engage the airborne rifles. Unfortunately, at that range, airborne rifles have the advantage because we were within 100-meter range of their airborne rifle squad, and they had the Bofors on target, and they had the mortar there, so I do lose a Fallschirmjäger. Now the Panzerabwehr run down the airborne rifles, I believe here, just chasing them up the tree line, and the 50 cal is going to cover the advance of these ersatz towards the M3 gun, which was unfortunate, but there we go. Nothing much really I can do against this 50 cal unless I move the Stür 42 round to take it out, which isn't something that I'm particularly looking to do at the moment. Now over on this left side, I believe I just completely forgot about this Fallschirmjägers. They ended up getting killed off by the Humber Mark III. Then I have the airborne engineers taken out by the 251-1 and the Stür 42, so that's fine. Mustang bomber comes in again to kill off the Pak 40 because it's been revealing itself shooting at infantry. And this time down to 1 HP, still not dead. 3 bombing strikes later, really good actually, managing to keep that Pak 40 alive. No fault of my own, or no help of my own, I guess, in that it's actually remained alive, more just luck than anything else. But Fallschirmjäger now moving up, going to hopefully be able to engage the 50 cal at close range. Also the Panzerabwehr is still here, and the airborne rifles are moving back towards them. So Fallschirmabwehr should be able to take out those airborne rifles very quickly. There we go, job done. That's still pretty far forwards, not actually making any ground at the moment though because they're pinned down. I've got a couple more reinforcements now coming up to sort of cause a distraction. I've still got more Ersatz on the right side as well, which are still being a pain in the ass for Gonzo, which is allowing Genjev to just focus on the tanks and maybe make back some ground. So trying to get the Panzer III into a line of sight here and take out the enemy tanks, and then he can make back some ground. But as you can see at the moment, it's still a +1 for the enemy, and they are reaching 600 points, which is not good at all. So we've got to make something happen. And currently, what I'm going to try and do is bring up 2 of these Flak 37s, because obviously I don't want those Mustangs to keep bombing me. And then I'm going to be starting to invest in my own air force to deal with the enemy air force, and hopefully can make a difference that way. So as well as all that, I am going to of course still be providing an infantry presence on the front line to try and hold, but from here on I chose to mainly focus on my air force and help the team in that way than anything else. So we have the Fallschirmjäger engaging the HMG here. Now the HMG can actually fire at close range, like whereas the Fallschirmjägers can't use their MG34s at close range, the 50 cal squad actually can. And that's a problem because Fallschirmjägers only have 6 HE at close range. I am still able to kill it just about and move on, but I took 3 damage there for no reason. My ME-109 comes in, gets the rocket strike onto the airborne mortar, forcing that to fall back for now. Would have liked to get the kill, but it doesn't really matter. And my Fallschirmabwehr here, well, they've moved all the way up, and I'm looking to get a Panzerschreck shot into the M4, but automatically fires at the M22 before I'm able to micro it properly, and that leaves it vulnerable to be taken out, especially with 50 cal from the M4, 50 cal squad there, and the M22 gun. Yeah, it's gonna get shot to pieces. So unfortunately that Fallschirmabwehr behind the enemy team is gonna be dead today. We've got a little build-up coming in here from Haymaker. He's going to bring in the M4s. He's got the M22s. I have a Stutt 42 standing in the way, and I've still got my Pak 40 here waiting in the rear. I've purposely not moved this back up again so that it doesn't reveal itself and get killed off by a bombing strike, but we do have the Flak 36s in position. Fallschirmjäger and the Ersatztruppen still engaging enemy airborne rifles here. And on the right side, some of my Panzerabwehr take out some Polish recon. Moving up some Fallschirmjäger there as well, just to cover off the left flank of Genjev. We have brought it back to 50-50 at this point. Going to be seeing the Hurricane come in there, 2-star Hurricane with its rockets slamming the Panzer IIIL. There's now a 17-pounder on the road as well, and that's going to be taking out one of Genjev's Panzer IIIs. So I'm going to try and hit that with my ME-109 G2 BR-21, and I hit it pretty damn hard, and it does pretty well. There is a plane coming in, but I'm hoping that I'm able to get away with that, which is exactly what happens. Now the other thing to note throughout this game, my evac Winchester was like turned on again, which was rather frustrating. Which meant that I basically had to play around attacking aircraft first and then bombing or attacking ground targets later on. Now the Mustang comes over to try and get a bombing strike onto my Pak 40. I managed to make the first one move away, and then the second one comes in for the bombing strike, and I managed to fall that one back before it hits my Pak 40, which was really good. So the Pak 40 is going to remain alive, 1 health. I used it to make the M22 fall back, and that's going to delay Haymaker's attack quite significantly. I also bring in the ME-109 there to maybe try and catch out some of the Mustangs as they get forced to fall back, but not going to be the case this time around. So Fallschirmjäger is still moving up, another Bofors there causing me issues. Bringing up a MG though. I've also got the Stutt 42 all the way over to the right side now, and that's hopefully going to deal with that for me, so the Fallschirmjäger can continue to move up, because this Stutt 42 is useless against the M4s that Haymaker's using, so I may as well just bring it over to the right side and use it to support infantry where they don't have tanks. So take out the Bofors, gonna then use it to try and take on the M3 gun, which is gonna shoot my truck there and reveal my Ersatztruppen. But that's fine. Still 42 trying to deal with that M3 gun. Just going to go for a fire position, I believe it was. Now Paradox Obscurus brought over this Jagdpanzer 4, which is very helpful in taking out the M4s, but I have a HS129, and that's actually going to be moved over to the right side since Gen Jeff's having issues again. Now since the B3 HS129 actually lost line of sight, ended up just attacking the ground next to that Cromwell. But I managed to one-shot the second one, so that's okay. That relieves a little bit of pressure for the Panzer IV. There's also these 2 Hurricanes coming in, so I'm going to have to evac it as soon as possible. Now ME109, that's coming over, and I can quite happily use that over my own AA. So I'm going to be using it to clean up these airborne engineers, so they don't become a threat if they move down the tree line. So now I have like 2 ME109s, I think. HS129B3 and the ME109G6R6. The second ME109 is not showing up on the bottom left because when you switch between neutral perspective and the player perspective, I think it resets the planes, which is a bit annoying. But I think at this point I had both of the ME109 G2 BR21s, and I was kind of using them as semi-fighters, kind of like Haymaker was doing with his Mustangs, using them as bombers and also fighters. So the Thunderbolt's going to come in there, hit my Stuart 42 really hard. We've also got the Mustang coming in, we've got the Hurricanes as well, and I was quite happy to go for this engagement. They're close enough to my Flak 36s that they're going to get stunned and pinned down. So that's 2 Hurricanes going in for the engagement there, and I'm hoping that I can maybe shoot them down, but the Mustang's coming in as well. And with that turning around, actually ends up right in front of my ME109 G6R6. So we're going to be getting the kill onto the Mustang, and the Hurricanes are going to get away this time around. Never mind. I think this was one of the times when the P-51 actually got away. Fast aircraft they are, and not working out for me this time. Bolshevik and Panzer Abwehr here do get pinned down and forced to surrender due to the Streltsy getting a bit close. I believe this was mainly due to the Sexton probably pinning down the infantry there, but that was a bit of a mistake on my part for not noticing it sooner and getting them to fall back. HS129 comes in, takes out 2 of the M8 Scots that were pushed across the field here by Haymaker, and Haymaker's using his 101st in a very interesting way, focusing a lot on his tanks. M4 Double D, we got the 2 M22s there, we had 3 M8 Scots, and it's all very well to like obviously have fire support for your infantry, but you've got to make sure it pays off. So moving back to my perspective, fighters still hanging about. ME109 G6R6 going for that Mustang kill again. HS129 came in for a couple shots on the right side, just trying to provide the air pressure where I can. We've also got the ME109 G2 BR21 now coming in to take out the 50 cal, but the Pack 40 is on target there, which is helping us out. Going to be finishing it off with the ME109 though, just to allow my infantry to survive a little better. So I am kind of being aggressive here with the Stuart 42 and with these Pioneer squads, and that was just so that we could maybe push to get the +1. We are now finally starting to count up points, but that's coming a lot from this left side where Demo is starting to break through Schmitty's lines. Now admittedly I think Schmitty was having connection problems again, but Matthew's doing relatively well, holding this little pocket. And then on the right here where I am, I'm kind of playing up, but I'm also playing pretty defensive at the same time. I want to keep as many units alive as possible. I managed to pick up one of the Hurricane Mark IVs there, which is the rocket one. I get the ME109 onto the back of the Hurricane Mark IV there and take that one down. And then there's a third one from Gonzo in the air, and we're going to get onto the back of that as well. Hopefully shoot it down. Yes, we do. Third Hurricane gets shot down. So that was 3 planes dead. And while that was going on, Stuart 42 does get taken out by the Sherman 5. We are going to see the Thunderbolt come in from Haymaker. I'm going to get onto the back of that. But fortunately 50 cals and the AA on the right side is going to prevent my ME109 from getting the kill today. So a really, really nice air engagement there. Takes away a lot of the power that Gonzo had in the air. The F-109's really paying off, but we're just trying to hold as best we can across here for now. My infantry just spread wide. Could have brought in maybe some more fire support units to help out a little bit, but the hedgerows are so difficult to work around. And when you're getting caught in a situation like this, there's not really too much you can do. Like the Sherman 5, you got the M4s. Like, my infantry is just not going to do the job. I believe Gonzo here is just fire positioning, hoping he hits this Fallschirmjäger. I'm also pushing onto these airborne rifles here, as you can see, and I try and run them down, but then run into Winters and the airborne rifles. Mustangs come in, one of them gets the bombing strike off, and does manage to finally finish off the Pak 40, but I'm going to make him pay, get the ME-109 G2 BR-21 on the back of it, and shoot one of them down. Good stuff. Going to have this ME-109 come in and take out the M1 gun, and then I'm looking to get onto the back of one of these planes as well. However, I don't want the Thunderbolt to shoot me down, so I'm going to drag it over my AA, and then I'm going to try and turn around and get onto the back of it. However, Thunderbolt's of course very fast and going to be falling back. So I had some very interesting air engagements during this one. But there is, of course, a salient on the right side that's a little bit of an issue. So we need to take care of that. Just a rifle squad in the way. Genjeff's advanced on it with the Panzer Grenadiers and the half-tracks there, just cutting that off and giving us this +1. Now my HS-129 that came in on the left side helped take out the M4 Sherman there. I'll bring it back over to the right side, have a go at the M22, and it should be safe. Spitfire's forced to fly over my AA, but AA's actually run out of ammunition now, so it's up to my ME-109s to save the day, and they just about do. So Matthew there with his Spitfire Mark 9, going to get that shot down. Then I'm going to come over to try and take out the Thunderbolt. Again, the Thunderbolt going to be having a bit of a hard time there if it stays in the sky. Especially with a third ME-109 hanging about now. Now since I have good air supremacy at this point, I'm going to actually start using these ME-109s to strafe ground targets soon. But of course there is still air targets coming in. See if we can follow one of these ME-109s as it goes for the Thunderbolt here. So Thunderbolt coming over, getting shot down on this right side. It's going to crash right into the sea. Awesome stuff. Really cool having these sort of dogfights over the cliffs here. Not quite the White Cliffs of Dover, it's the grey cliffs of Pointe du Hoc. But still, very cool indeed. Nice setting for these air engagements. So yeah, multiple planes in the sky. Now going for the air engage or the ground strafing onto the 17-pounder on this right side. Got to try and pin that down so that Genjeff can actually start doing something with his Panzer IVs. So we managed to take a couple of the health off it there, and then I hit it with the rockets, unfortunately not doing too much damage. My Stug 3 on this side was actually taken out, I believe, by a Sherman, which was unfortunate. I wasn't really paying attention because I was microing the Air Force so much, and I did lose quite a lot of units on the ground unnecessarily because of it. Now M5 half-track moving up here. We've got the Panzer III trying to get the shot off there. If he can make it fall back, then that would be job done, but the Dragoni going to drop out and actually kill off the Panzer III. That was unfortunate. Now Mustang has come in to engage the ME-109 G6R6, but my ME-109 G6R6 is on the case and managing to turn quite tightly in order to get onto the enemy Mustang there. And eventually gonna take him down. Good stuff. As my ME-109 G2 BR-21 thanks the other Me-109 pilot. Okay, so Me-109 coming in over there, going for a bit of a strafing run onto the glider rifles. However, there is a hell of a lot of AA now brought in by Haymaker, which makes sense considering I have been starting to harass him quite badly with these rocket planes, and my Air Force has been quite a force to be reckoned with. But on this right side, huge mistake as I bring in 2 Pak-40s and let them both get killed off by these Dragoni. Like, if I just unloaded them like here and here, that would have been perfect as a base for Genjev to like push off of. But instead, because I was concentrating on my Air Force once again, 2 Pak-40 is just going to be lost for like no reason, which is just really, really bad. Either way, still kind of holding the front line here. There are a few gaps here and there, but I'm kind of getting very limited with my infantry now due to like running out. Like, I've had a lot of infantry going into these engagements, and it's just slowly getting to me. But I have a lot invested in the air, so I need to try and make the most of it. HS-129, going to try and use that to take out that M16. I was hoping I'd be able to pop both of these with the HS-129. It would have relieved a lot of pressure and allowed me to use the planes a lot more. But with this Pioneer being pinned down, you can see there is a big section of land here that's lost. Going to take out the airborne rifles on the left side. These Flak 36s are still lacking ammo. Should have reloaded those a lot sooner. But thankfully, over on this left side, Demo's completely ruined Schmitty and has broken through, which is giving us the +1 still, which is great. 460 points now against the Allies 746. So desperately holding on here, really. Trying to focus primarily on the air again. One of my Pak-40s did just about manage to get out alive, and I've sent a couple of Pioneers to the right side as well to help Genjev as he pushes up with his tanks. So it's just a matter of kind of like covering this right side enough that it doesn't break, especially against Gonzo. He is playing so damn aggressive. Thankfully, Haymaker wasn't pushing as hard, because if he was, like, this would have broken pretty quickly. It's just 2 Pioneer Führer here. We've got, well, Pioneer Führer, Bolschenführer, Pioneer. Nothing to kill all of this armor. That's why I'm bringing up this Kubel to hopefully off-map this and force him back. So, more airstrikes coming in. Mustang, Thunderbolt. Gotta be careful I don't go over his AA, otherwise I will have my planes shot down. The Mustang there going to be dropping some bombs onto my Pioneers, takes them down to 3 health. Thunderbolt comes over, gets a rocket strike onto my Flak 36, which isn't good. And both the Mustang and the P-47 Thunderbolt get away. Also, my plane's taking a beating as they fly over enemy AA. And one of them is going to get shot down there. But in comes my 380mm off-map, straight onto all of the reinforcements of Haymaker. He just brought up some glider rifles, brought up these airborne engineers. I'm going to make a lot of that fall back, which is good, but a lot of pressure coming in here. So I'm just going to keep off-mapping this, trying to use that to hold him back as long as I can. Me-109 coming in once again. Just going to evac that so that I have it available when I need it. And here we're starting to make a push through with Genjev once again. Idea being just my Pioneers would continue to push through either side, and that would allow Genjev's units to keep moving up. Interesting unit there, the 251-7 coming in from Genjev. 8 AP rifle on it. Yeah, that off map coming down, hitting quite hard. Actually kills off the M20 command. Doesn't manage to hit the airborne rifles very well though. But you can see after that infantry's been taken out here, the salient is forming once again. Now +1 for the Allies, since Matthews still got a little bit of forces here, but has been cut off. And will be losing that ground shortly. Demo's Pioneers got cut off, which lost us the salient there. But yeah, 50-50 across the board now. And the final shot's coming down from the Kubel as I fast move it away. So my Pioneers on the right side got taken out. Schmitty is going to surrender because his internet was going funny again. But yeah, I'm just pinging for infantry now, since I am so damn low on infantry. I think also Genjeff was suffering the same problem. And with the 1st Panzerner and the 101st, they have way more infantry availability than the 91st Luftlande and the 116th, especially the 116th. 116th runs out very, very quickly. So yeah, that has been a problem now, and that is why we're sort of starting to lose a bit of ground. But I'm going to bring in the Stuhr 42. Hopefully that can sort of help out. A bit of fire support, can take on the airborne rifles from long range, and then I will bring in some of my command infantry there just to sort of help reveal those squads. Now the other thing that I should have done throughout this game that I completely forgot about was use my Fusiliers. Now in the recon tab I have the Fusilier squads, which are the 9-man recon squads. And having those throughout this game would have been fantastic to allow and enable my Stuhr 42s and the IG-18s, and I should have definitely been going for that, but I completely forgot that the 91st had access to them, because otherwise I would have just been flooding this area with Fusiliers at this point, because, well, I should have used them earlier. But Mustang going to be going down there as it does come into range of my Flak 88. I'm going to be holding the right side with this Flak 88 Stuhr combo, and I've got the Pak 40 rolling forwards as well. And you can see at the moment I currently have 5 aircraft in the air. Me-109 coming in, going to go for the shot onto the scouts. Scouts get taken out sooner. And HS-129's been coming in on the right side and going for runs there. So loads going on still. It looks like I don't have too much going on the ground, but that's because I don't. Most of it's happening in the air. I've just got to make sure that I cover off properly. So bringing in a couple of speed troop, and then I'm going to realise that I have Fusiliers, and I'm going to bring in Fusiliers after that. So ideally early on what you'd want to do is mix your Ersatztruppen with Fusiliers and the Fallschirmjägers, and then what you'd end up having is later on more Fallschirmjägers to work with than I currently have at this moment, and that's allowing the tanks to push through, which is a bit of an issue because my Stuhr 42 is not made to deal with that. Again, Genjeff asking for infantry on the right side, however our teammates making a strong push on the left. So not too much of an issue. Paradox with his Panzerlehr getting his groove on as it gets later to the game and just going to end up slamming his opponent. And on the left side, with Schmitty being taken over by AI, Demo's going to have an easy time on that side as well. So recon infantry moving up to just fend off against all of this infantry that's coming in. And I now have my bomber coming up to bomb out the glider rifles, because these are the bombers with the two 25 HE, or I think they're 25 HE power bombs, and they're just really good at taking out infantry. So it holds back Haymaker long enough that we're able to actually push a +2 thanks to Demo and Paradox Obscurus on my left flank, whilst we sort of hold the line here as best as I can. Fusilier is finally coming up to help out the Stuhr 42. Stuhr 42 managing to make one of the M16s fall back. Airborne rifles and any infantry that shows itself would also suffer. Engineers aren't being pushed up so aggressively here, so I'm able to keep my Panzer Abwehr there. And Thunderbolt is going to come in and take out the speed troop, or at least force them to fall back for now, but AA kind of does its job. Right, meanwhile, plenty of planes flying about. We've got the two Me-109 G6R6s on the right side. We've got the Me-109 G2 Briar-21 hitting the glider rifles. Genjeff's sort of come back a little bit with the help of my 88 on this right flank and the Stur 42. Like accompanying the 231 and the Panther G. That works out as quite a nice combination, because the 2341 can actually probably spot the AT guns in the tree lines here. Now trying to get a cheeky HS-129 strike onto some of the units here, but just a bunch of 50 cals from these GMC HMGs really fending me off there, alongside the 50 cal on the M4. I'm engaging the Fusiliers at range. Don't want the engineers to use their grenades, so just kind of trying to stay out of range of that. And thankfully Paradox Obscurus comes up here with some infantry and helps pin them down. Then that allows me to focus the Fusiliers onto the leader here. Winter's staying alive for the entire of this match, except from now when my Fusiliers catch him and I'm trying to kill him off. Panzer come in to the 100-meter range to kill off the engineers, and we get the surrender there, and there goes Winters, an honourable death. So Stur 42 on the right side ends up going down to the Firefly. It's a bit ahead of the Panther G, unfortunately, and my Me-109s are trying to strafe the glider rifles on the ground just to stop the salient. We can also see the Panther G having that engagement with the Firefly. Unfortunately not doing too well at the moment, but what I'm going to do with this HS-129 is try and come in and get those kills. So you can see I'm having to micro it quite hard so it doesn't end up flying over the enemy AA. That's what I was going for there. So going to go for the Cromwell on the right side first. Don't really hit the mark, and yeah, not going to be able to pull round quick enough to go for the Sexton or the Firefly either. That's the best thing about the Ju-87G, the Stuka with the two 37mm cannons, is it can turn on a dime and shoot like multiple targets which are right next to each other. But here I've sort of merged with Paradox Obscurus, and we're starting to put a lot of pressure onto Haymaker. The M22 Locust, though, still moving forwards. The glider rifles are taken out there, though, by the Ju-88, which is good. And we now have a Ju-87G coming in from demo to help us out. So M22 going to be forced to fall back at least. Gets a quick shot at the M4DD. Doesn't want to go over the AA, though. And it is forced to fall back. So 50 seconds left until the end of the game. And we're still at a +2. We've broken past the 800 points that the Allies had. So we're looking at a victory this time around. Ju-88 coming in again, just to go for a bombing strike onto these poor glider leader. And quite simply, just trying to rack up as many kills as I can before the end of the game. Flak 88 picks off one of the Sherman 5s. Firefly's gone down to the Panther G. And the Sexton's busy falling back, and I think finally towards the end of the game Gonzo ran out of steam. But that's 10 seconds left, and what a hell of a fight it was on this right side. Crazy stuff. And that's victory. After the full 40 minutes, a minor victory. If we jump over to the team scores, 3,447 for myself with 2,230 losses, which is not too bad considering the circumstances. It looked a lot worse than it was. Demo getting 5,322 kills to 2,115 losses against the first SSB there, and that's sort of replicated on the other side of things, where you can see Schmitty losing a lot of forces. Gonzo lost a lot, Matthew lost a lot. The entirety of the Allied side lost a ton of points throughout that game, and the Allies, or Axis, sorry, pretty much all positive other than Genjeft on the right side, who did take a bit of a beating from Gonzo. If we jump over to the kills, we've got the Stur 42 picking up the Bofors there. That did really well coming in, taking out the M3 gun. I probably could have made a push off this. I could have brought in the Fusiliers early on, had I remembered that they were in the division, and used them to push with the Stur 42 quite well. But the main thing about this game was just the sheer amount of air power that I had. ME-109 actually taking out a Mustang, obviously getting the kills onto some of the infantry there. HS-129 got kills onto the M8 Scots. Cromwell M4 helped out throughout the game, which is good. ME-109 getting the M1 gun kill with the 50 cal. ME-109 here killing off the Hurricane. This one taking out the other 2 Hurricanes, and then there was a Spitfire kill and a Mustang Mark III kill in there. So loads of air kills. It's about 7 I count, maybe 8 even. But yeah, just so much going on, as well as the ground strikes as well. Fantastic stuff. Railroad battery with the 380mm off map kind of saved me from a crazy breakthrough that Haymaker probably could have made at that point. And it was just pretty much the perfect counter to his units blobbed up like that just before they came in. Flak 88 actually got the kill onto the Mustang, so I think that's about 9 kills there, like aircraft kills. And that's probably the majority of my points, honestly. Sherman 5 also going down, and the Ju-88 actually bombed one of the MGMCs towards the end. In terms of losses, it was more those airborne rifles just catching me out in certain locations, and a few lost units unnecessarily throughout the game, especially on the right flank, like the PaK-40s, losing like one of those. I'm surprised the other one didn't surrender. I'm not even entirely sure why it didn't, but yeah, just not good. Losing some units unnecessarily because I was focused so much on my air power. Got to get used to the micromanagement there. But either way, that's all for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that epic game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.